Tell us your mentality, man, about playing offensive tackle. I mean, you have the potential, just to be absolutely elite.
Damn, go ahead, share your thoughts on the thesis.
Yeah, baby. That's what we do. We are the Buckeyes. What up, Buckeye Nation? What up, Buckeye Nation? Welcome to the Buckeye Boys, where we talk college football with real fans. I'm Devin. Glad to be back. Sorry I took a little bit of a vacation last week. Should have told y'all. Sorry I didn't do that. It's the off-season slow time. So I was like, hey, man, let me get caught up on a few things around the house. Enjoy a little bit more golf than normal. So sorry, took the week off, but we are back at it hardcore this week. Going to be covering spring ball. Going to be diving into recruiting very hard, getting you guys up to date on prospects, visits, all of those things. And we're going to be having some intel coming out of these spring practices about these 51 new players on the roster. Got a good video planned tonight, man. Obviously, we know there was a big-time meeting in Washington, D.C. that included President Trump and some other famous college football coaches. They gave their opinions, and we will dive into those tonight. But before we do that, guys, I need you to do a favor for me. Hit that like button, please. Hit that subscribe button as well. And if you're listening on Spreaker and Apple Podcast, give us a like, save us, whatever it is you do on there. I don't use either one of those. I watch YouTube, so I guess I've been saying hit the like button, but I don't even know if you hit the like button on those. Just being open and honest with you on that one. Super chats are open, guys. It's been a minute since we've been on here, but all our super chats go to Pay It Forward in some way. Veterans on one channel and Teen Challenge, a faith-based organization, on the other channel. And also head on over to the Scoop message board where nuggets are being dropped every single day. I had a couple guests planned for tonight. One of them has made it. We are waiting on the other one with some technical difficulties. But without further ado, let's welcome VB Coach in for our regular Monday night programming with VB Coach. What up, brother? How you doing?
Doing good. Like I said, a little sore, but I'm doing good.
Yeah. Well, glad to see you came out the other end healthy, and you're trucking along in life still. Buckeye football still trucking along. They got spring football starting tomorrow. But before we dive into that, just a little bit, and while we wait on Duke, hopefully Duke, Petty John can figure out his technical stuff and come on here and give us his perspective of this. I wanted to dive into the SCORE Act, right? That is what the meeting was about, because obviously we know that NIL and the transfer portal and today's college football has changed in a big way. And anytime you have a change, you will have, things come from that some people think aren't good, some people think are good. And I think we can all agree that some things have got a little bit out of control. And there are certain aspects to college football that we all fell in love with that are starting to leave the game a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I think if you're watching this show, you're psycho enough about college football that you're probably never going to stop watching. But there are certain, implements to this, the changes that have caused even it to be a different fan experience. But the most important thing is that it has changed the student athletes' college time and what that used to mean to them, right? It is completely different now. A lot has changed in that regard. So let me bring on Duke. Looks like he popped up here. Just perfect timing right at the beginning. What's up, Duke? How are you? Yeah, I think you're on mute, brother. I see the mute button. There it is.
Hey, what's up, guys?
There it is.
I got it worked out.
Good, man. Glad to have you on here. Perfect timing. I was just talking about how we're going to dive into, that meeting that was held with President Trump. A lot of, politicians and Nick Saban and Urban Meyer was there. And Also some agents. There were no college athletes there, which a reporter asked about that, but there were some agents there who, said that they're speaking on behalf of some students. And we know that Coach Urban Meyer and Nick Saban, they do have these students' hearts, in their minds. But anyway, they're talking about the SCORE Act, man. They're talking about wanting to. What you laughing at, VB coach?
Because I said, do we?
Face you made.
Oh, yeah. Well, hey, we think we know. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, Duke and VB coach, would you agree? Let's start off with this. Do you guys agree that some changes need to be made to the current process of college football? VB coach, let's start with you.
Yeah, I mean, the term that you constantly hear is the Wild Wild West, and having players in there. I think I said last week, I bought a shirt that had my player's name on it at the college he was at and stuff. And so when I saw him, I showed it to him. He had no idea where it came from. He had no idea where the money went. He had no idea if he got the money. Like it is so unstructured and undisciplined that I feel there's a lot of people making money off of this stuff and in weird ways. I guess what I say. So I think that is the first thing you got to eliminate, because if we're players money, I'm all for that, but I don't want to see other people capitalizing on it too. So
yep,
they're the ones whose bodies are out there on the field. So
what school was that?
It was a MAC school, is what I would say.
This was a while ago, right? VB coach.
Yeah, I bought the shirt a little over a year ago. And
okay. So this stuff was in place where I know the kids have a like an NIL shop in the Ohio State kids have it, and I'm pretty sure it's universal because the Michigan State kid had one, and but that they also have to acknowledge it too, like and sign it. So a lot of times, these kids aren't checking their emails.
Yes,
and they miss out on that.
But, yeah.
So from that standpoint, I there are stuff in place, but a lot of times it's like it's piecemeal, and they're assuming kids are going to be like on top of their emails and are going to activate this so they can recoup the the proceeds from whatever they sell. So a lot of times, so to your point where it needs to be a lot more structured. I mean, if the schools know that's in place, when they need like a football, a financial orientation as far as that goes, so they know what's what's what, and they can get that money. So from that standpoint, I agree with you.
Yeah. I want, like, the NFL does that. I mean, they bring their rookies in and they sit down and go over all that financial stuff, because we've seen all the horror stories of players going in there and giving everybody their money and getting used. 4 years later, their career's done and they've got nothing to show for it. I think that's something that every school's got to do with their players' name.
Yeah, absolutely. That's an excellent point. And now that these things have matriculated to the college landscape, you have the blueprint that's used the same thing you do for rookies. All the programs that you have and the speakers that you have like come in and address the rookies. Each school should have a mandatory session, orientation like that, right?
Yeah.
For the parents and the athletes.
So, Duke, you agree that some things do need to change, correct?
As far as what?
In college football, as far as
NIL,
as far as eligibility, the transfer portal, all that stuff.
So I agree. Yes, but
we're going to get to the next part.
I don't think there needs to be an outside entity that needs to come in and regulate what the kids are getting and stuff like that.
We're gonna we'll get to that and dive into that. I kind of want to touch where this what this meeting was about and kind of what is the step that somebody is trying to take? And right now, that's the federal government that is trying to step in right now. President Trump said he was going to write an executive order, and they're trying to get the SCORE Act passed in Congress right now. Now, what does that consist of? That consists of national NIL rules. So right now you have different states operating on, they have different laws. So every team in each state is operating on different NIL laws, right? And it's also the same with eligibility and transfers, right? Right now, a lot of teams, depending on which state you're in, can go to the local judge and get kind of a lot of, right, what they're looking for passed. So that's part of the SCORE Act. It's making them not employees. They'll make sure that they don't turn in employees. It
Wow.
does limit the pay for play, and it also gives the NCAA or it doesn't say the NCAA, it says or another body, right, antitrust, so they don't get sued for every decision that they make. So that's kind of the roundabout right idea of SCORE Act. And some of the issues that were brought up were the local judge things and the current NIL format. Right, where do the colleges get this money from to pay a lot of these players? The collectives go to donors and ask these donors for large sums of money. The collectives get them and pay them out. Now, one of the issues they brought up is that is causing donors that used to give to the colleges for other sports. Olympic sports got brought up, some women's sports got brought up. Those donors are now having to give to the NIL funds for basketball, for football, or all those things. So that's one of the issues that got brought up. Urban Meyer was very, very passionate about that and saying, get rid of collectives. Collectives is not true name, image, and likeness. It is pay for play. You know what I'm saying? So that's one aspect that got really talked about in this meeting. And, I know there's several different avenues. You guys can go there. You can talk about whether you think the government needs to get involved, whether they shouldn't, or do you think that is an issue that does need to be addressed? And if so, do you think they're going down the right path to address kind of the wild, wild west NIL where every state has different rules? So it is not athletes, when they line up across people, they're not eye to eye. They're not operating on the same rules. They're operating at different rules. Like, we know that's happening. So just give me your take on that first initial thing that kind of was brought up in the meeting. Duke, I want to hear what you got to say first.
Man, it's like, I think it's a joke, honestly, that, they went through all that pomp and circumstance to talk about this. Like, it's the most pressing thing, going on in this country. It's not. But what is available are smart people, presidents of these leagues that are doing things the right way, right? And have an and have an idea. Like, if you truly cared about the game, the game and the kids, right? We want to be at this point, right? They keep stalling, are holding out, like paying kids, all the way up until this point, and now like, oh, you want money here, take it all, and so they let it get to this point when they could have had plenty of time to put all the things in place to make sure this rollout was done done in a way that follows all the other NCAA legislation that they have, right? But no, they wanted to be this mess that it is, so they can say we tried, now come back and like overregulate it, and then it always comes back and it hurts the kids, right? I'm all for the kids, like partaking in the billions of dollars in revenue that they are generating, right? But there's a right way to do it. And them getting it isn't the problem. The biggest problem in this thing, and I think Saban was more on like this side of things. You need to get the transfer portal under control. It's the transfer portal that is, ruining these programs, right? Regulate that and watch everything else start to work itself out, right? And when there are no guardrails, who's the ones who are taking advantage of the things? It's the adults. Mm-hmm. It's the adults. And if coaches can have the freedom to move and change jobs, the kids should too, right? And the only thing that you do regulate, you always want to keep in mind as far as that goes is the reset that they have to do academically. Like that's what no one is talking about the most. Like Saban actually did hit on that, but they're not talking about it enough, right? So now an agent can come in and say, oh, I can get you this much more money from like from this school when the kid's not even thinking about it. Like regulate that. So the same thing, you have to be licensed with the NFL in order to represent professional players as an agent. The same thing needs to be in place for for college. You can't just come in like, oh yeah, I used to work at a college, so yeah, let me represent you and get you all what you deserve from whichever school.
Yeah,
so
yeah, they did. They brought that point up. I think Saban did, and somebody else. They talked about the agents are running this NIL thing and the transfer portal thing amok. Like there are students that don't even want to get in the portal, and they're getting calls from these agents that are telling them about these false offers that aren't even true.
Unlicensed,
and then they get
unlicensed.
Unlicensed agents that don't know anything about it. So they talked about that, and you're right. The biggest issue is that back in the day, these old rules. Right, when a student athlete goes to college, right, the United States college athletics program, it's beautiful, right, for the future of our country in the sense of it teaches a student athlete discipline, teamwork, how to deal with failure, leadership, work ethic, accountability, right? So while you were playing a sport, you were also getting an education, but you were also learning how to be a man or a woman and learning how to be successful when you leave. And there are certain aspects of that that have been taken away because of the transfer portal. Because let's be honest, what kind of leads people to get in the transfer portal is the love of money. Now, the love of money from the student or the agent or the adults like you're talking about. So, yeah, I mean, the NIL thing that I brought up first, that was one of the points that they talked about. And to be honest with you, I didn't hear them hit on that very much. I listened to the whole thing, but they hit on this topic a lot. Like when a student transfers, they lose a lot of credit hours. So you're not going to graduate in 5 years anymore when you're doing this. So, yeah, that is one area to that. VB coach, you got something on that?
Yeah, and just as someone that has coached guys that have done that, yeah, that's one thing. The whole college experience is just so different now. I mean, half these kids don't actually go to a class; they take everything online. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure how that's happening at Ohio State now, but my kids that are at other schools, most of their classes are online. I remember when it used to be a big deal to find out if the college you're going to is going to pay for summer school or not. That was the thing, like, oh, we get summer school classes paid for, and that was D1, and now it's like you can take unlimited classes online. I mean, you can get them from other universities and stuff. So that's not even a thing anymore. So yeah, football is this thing where one day it's a business and the next day it's a game, and it just depends on who's doing what at the time as to which one it is. When we're talking about money, it's a business.
Yeah.
And then somebody wants to tell those kids, though, they're playing a game. I'm like, no. I've played a lot of games. None of them generated $1 billion. So
right.
It is, and I think everybody needs to know, Duke's, kind of your background a little bit. You're from Massachusetts. I saw you played ball at Syracuse.
Mm-hmm.
You were on the Bengals roster, got drafted by the Bengals, played practice squad for a year with Jacksonville. Played arena ball. I immediately texted my buddy about if he knew you from Arena Ball, and he said, yes, Dallas Desperados was a heck of a linebacker.
That's cool. Yeah.
There you go.
He's still coaching Arena Ball now. So it was funny. I was getting those text messages while you were talking. So
that's funny.
So
Yeah,
you understand the contract aspect of it because you've been a professional, and that now is being applied to these kids. You know, their contracts involved.
Yeah.
And, we saw a quarterback last week get sued for $1 million by Cincinnati. I mean, but you can't take $1 million and walk away from it. I know if my employer gave me $1 million and I said, hey, I'm going to somebody else, guess what? They want their money back, you know? And
yeah. But again, they're like in that instance, again, there's the kid in the headlines for something that he was advised about by a professional, well, supposed professional or an adult, right? I'm sure he would not have, gone forward with whatever that was and, agreed to, transfer to another school if he knew all the repercussions up front.
Yes.
Right. And I'm sure he's told, oh no, you'll be fine. Yeah, no. And they're suing him, not whoever the agent was, or even the school.
Yeah.
So I mean that's another thing that if we're all under NCAA umbrella, that's easy to all right, no tampering.
Yeah.
Like no tampering. This is the time that you can talk to a kid. Like this is the time that a kid can declare for that he's going to transfer, and this is when you can start contacting them. Which is December. But there's another thing that also is not talked about as far as that transfer goes. Kids being notified with a short period of time by the school that you should maybe jump into the portal. We're not talking about that. The school's doing that to kids, and I know a few kids that has happened to, and that's not fair, and that's not talked about a lot. But I want to go back to your online the online class thing. Yeah, that's prevalent, but it's only talked about in regards to the athletes. That it's available to every student at whatever institution. So it's not fair to say like, oh, they're just not. I'm not saying you're doing it, but I hear that's arguments like from other fans that they're just sitting at home taking online classes and what have you. Yeah, them and everyone else who chooses to do that. I get this like in the athletes defense. It's actually a little more conducive, to their schedule to be able to do that. And a lot of them are taking those classes at their, at their academic centers, at their schools. They're not sitting at home taking those classes. They are in their academic session. I just wanted to
let me
doing it that way. That's for sure.
Yeah. Dude, when I was in college way back when, dude, I took all online classes a couple semesters. I never went to class one time.
When you were in school, though.
Hey man.
He was on dial-up, but
you had the AOL. Oh, you're frozen.
Oh, he locked up now.
Bro, yeah. See, he's still on AOL.
Yeah, I have a kid I know. He's doing his master's, like getting his business master's, and he's doing everything online. That blew me away. Yeah. I was like, I totally understood taking your undergrad. That I understood, but I did not realize that even when you go into master's programs, almost everything was still online. It's cheaper. The universities
it's cheaper. Mm-hmm. So I had a few coworkers who went back and did they got an MBA online. Mm-hmm. So I mean that's like the norm in in the corporate world now for like for people to take classes like online. I'm not against that. I mean unless it's a kid who who needs that in-person instruction. Yeah. Then you're doing a kid like that the disservice. If he has like a learning disability or what have you, absolutely not, should not be on there. But hopefully they, look into that before, they sign these kids up for that.
Well, I thought you made some great points. Just so everybody knows, Dev just texted me his electric is out at his house.
Oh man,
So that is what happened to him. So
we're gonna
we'll
hold it down.
here. We're good. But you made some great points. One, is this something really that it needs to be dealt with in the way they're dealing with it? Probably not. Like clearly in the world right now in our country, we got some major things going on.
Right.
But one thing I wanted to ask you is, one, you live in Texas, right?
Uh-huh.
What have you seen as far as a difference so far before any of this has happened in NIL in Texas as compared to, you got a son that's doing it in Ohio? Because going by the different states' rules until now.
I think recently, I don't even know if it passed or they're like still talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
That high school kids now can partake in like but I haven't heard of any high school kids here actually doing it. But I think it's available like now. And to be competitive and keeping up with the times, they went ahead and got that pass, because I know kids from Georgia. I know there were some high school kids that were going to, like, high school basketball players that were going to prep schools,
yes.
In states that allowed high school kids to get NIL. So maybe that's why they kind of fast tracked it and got that passed. So only really for high school kids doing anything about that.
You probably know the receiver commit for Ohio State here in Ohio. He's from Huber Heights, Wayne. He's the one that kind of sued the state of Ohio and won. And that is now gone back into court. So that is not all the way through yet. It's back in court. Some coaches testified saying it was going to ruin the sport and everything, and create uneven advantages for certain schools. And
I think that's garbage. And again, it's trickled back down to high school. The same coaches in the college world who had gripes about that, mainly SEC schools.
Well,
oh yeah, and now it's gonna ruin football now because now you're more people are doing it, and like versus you guys paying kids under the table and buying the parents' houses and all that. So it's all I think it's a lot of phony fake outrage that at the end of the day really comes back to the playing field being even now.
Yeah.
And then they're not liking it.
Yeah, it's as someone that coaches high school, this will be my 30th season coming up. I have biases that I try to keep out of everything. So when I saw some of the coaches that testified, I was like, wait a minute, you can't have a coach that's got 7 state titles complaining about unfair advantages and right. Stuff like that. So I see that are you still coaching high school ball?
Middle school right now.
Middle school. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's always that public versus private debate.
Yeah.
So when the private school coach got up with all of his state titles and said this was given an unfair advantage, a lot of the public school coaches that were friends of mine were like, no. And so,
right.
And I get it. Ultimately I want the kids to get what they deserve. As a coach, I just want to coach,
Yeah, right. And not deal with all the bull.
Yeah. And let's face it, the kids that are going to be impacted by this, you're going to be lucky if you have one on your team that's impacted at all by high school NIL.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm not paying my starting guard, any money, and he's not going anywhere. So, and the school next door is not paying him to come over. He may be a great high school football player, but it's those kids that you were mentioning that are going to the prep schools and that route, which, that's some scary stuff when you get into that. When I talk about unstructured, that prep stuff is.
Oh man, listen, I don't care if you gonna pay my kid to come to your prep school. Well, he's not. They're not going. I don't care. Ain't no
Well,
structure.
we had
No.
the school in Columbus. I don't know if you saw that a few years ago. Bishop, gosh, what was, yeah, those kids, they didn't even have a school. Like there was
Bishop Sycamore. Yeah.
Yeah, Bishop Sycamore. Yes.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
And,
So can y'all hear me now?
Yeah.
hey, you're back. Yeah,
Me too.
I apologize, and I appreciate you guys for handling the show. My power randomly went out right when Duke said you didn't have internet back in the days, and then boom. So I feel like Duke did that. I don't know how he did it, but we're going to blame it on him. But fellas, I appreciate you keeping the thing going. Hopefully it don't happen again, but who knows? But I want to get back to this real fast and kind of talk about, let's see if I can remember what I was. Yes, I was. So Duke, you brought up about how, if the NCAA would have rolled this thing in correctly, we wouldn't be dealing with these issues. So I think we can agree there that, the NCAA failed dramatically with how they did this and implementing it. They should have, created it and slowly started paying these players and implementing the rules and stuff. They didn't do that. But anyway, now we're to a point where, they did step in. They created the CSC. They try to create these rules. I mean, the conferences try to create these rules, but again, every rule gets challenged in court. They get sued. And then, if you lose, you got to pay all that money. And they are losing a lot right now. So let me ask you guys, because I'm not smart enough to know if there's a solution outside of the government getting involved, because that's, for me personally, that's the last thing I want to happen. But in thinking of what would be the solution at this point in time, because Pandora's box has been opened. All these agents and all these other people, they're so money hungry now that if anybody tries to implement a rule, like they have, the CSC tries to implement these NIL things. And the reason why they don't come up with transfer rules is because they get sued. Even eligibility rules. How many court cases do we see the NCAA saying, no, you're no longer eligible? Boom, go to court, get sued. They can come play basketball.
But again, that as far as like the transfer like things, all right, if it's a guy trying to get his 8th year versus a kid with a legitimate argument to get a 6th year, that's an easy no-brainer. But you choose to like put all your energy behind the 6th-year kid, and you just allow the 8th year, but the 8th year kid was like, yeah, go ahead at 27 years. That doesn't make any sense. So like they make it so much harder than it needs to be. And so I think it starts with the NCAA leadership, like whoever's up there is like needs to go. like seriously, because they pick the dumbest battles. And then, you get people lumping it all together. Now you got a 6-year guy being lumped in with a 8th, 9th year guy.
Yeah.
And, they're all seen as transfer. They're not all the same. It's not apples to apples. So, if you're going to allow, a medical, like for a medical reason, and you're within, that range, if it's 6 years to play 4, because of an injury, then that's what it is. And then after that, there's no more. I'm sorry, there's nothing you are beyond that. And then so you do that, and then you add a dang a age requirement. Whatever happens first. All right, if you're 24, then you aged out.
Yeah.
You have up to 23 years old to do that.
Yeah, we do.
To be honest,
it's not like it can't be done.
Right.
Yeah.
20-year-olds play high school ball. We don't let 19-year-olds play high school ball.
Right.
To be honest with you, the same type of thing is happening in the NIL. Like there are some players playing college football right now that truly can make millions and millions of dollars off of their name, image, and likeness. But then you have some players that there's no way in a million years they could do that. And it's pay for play, so in the same regard,
I don't like that pay for play. I really don't like that.
Whatever it
because
is,
it's not. Like,
well,
if you're good and you're contributing, and there's a market for your for your ability, the value for your team, and that team wants to pay you for that, then you should get that. Like no more, no less. I mean that's a simple rule to follow.
Yeah, but the problem with that is that's an employee. So an actual name, image, and likeness, I agree with you. They would, but you just need to, you can't have a collective, pay you $2 million, over 2 Instagram posts when, that's not a sustainable business. And that is the argument that they are saying. I'm bringing up that side of it
Oh,
when
okay. So yeah.
in reality, yes, those players that you're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the businesses, the donors, they need to implement these players into their businesses for, promoting their businesses, commercials, all those things, and do that. So I think either way you go it, there's going to be people finding ways around that. Like you can take collectives out of it, and then somebody's just
Yeah.
going to create a business, and you're going to start seeing all these players on
Right.
commercials. But yeah,
So if the collectives, so if it's a collective of businesses, right, that want to, like outside. So I mean, there's two parts, right? There's
yeah,
your rev share, which is basically your school's, salary cap that you have, yeah, that you that lump of money that you use to, distribute throughout your roster, right?
yep,
And then there's the marketing side, the collective side. So if you want that to be the NIL name, image, and likeness, then you have companies sign up to support that. And then whatever they want to, pay someone to market their, their business is what they
yeah,
want to pay them. So it's hard to tell somebody or a business, how they value somebody's a service to them.
yeah,
Like you can't do that. Like
yeah,
if they say, hey, yeah, Jeremiah Smith is, worth like this much to my business in this like campaign that I'm running, then I'm gonna pay him that,
yeah,
right? And
yeah,
or if it's a local kid that they want to pay that, like a Jeremiah Smith, because they know, his image is going to resonate more like locally, then they're going to pay him,
yeah.
that type of money. So it's hard. It's hard to really say. I don't think you should do away with collectives, but you can regulate them. I guess to
Yeah.
where it has to be a legitimate business.
But
And
I honestly think the point you brought up at the very beginning of this video, because when I take all this information and I
mhm,
put it in my head and I'm like, if I have to narrow this down, what is the one area that is kind of causing all this chaos? I feel like if you simply regulated the agents,
yep,
a lot of these issues would go away. I really
it
do,
would.
because if they have to be licensed and those licensed agents have to follow the NCAA rules of no tampering, of this and that, then you're going
Hmm.
to do away with a lot of those type of NIL deals anyway that
Hmm.
are the sketchy ones that we're talking about. But like you said earlier, because people do that, right? Everybody lump sums these high school players that have never played college football, these freshmen getting paid large amount of money, get thrown into the pool of other players that have, and other agents that have taken advantage of the system,
Hmm.
and cornering a school and using the fact that this or that, or other schools tampering with the quarterback, taking their quarterback the day the transfer portal
Yeah,
closes. You know what I mean?
that's crazy.
Because you got offered $12 million behind everybody's back. If
Crazy.
you have a licensed agent, guess what? That doesn't happen. If you make it to where, hey, if you want to transfer as a college player, you have to use a licensed agent or something. I think a lot of these issues would go away. So, Duke, I think one of the first points you brought up in this thing, I think a lot of people, don't really think about that aspect of it. That yes, these are students, these are kids that, quite frankly, some of them haven't been through enough life yet to understand and learn, accountability and responsibility. They've never had their own, I'm saying never, I don't want to blanket everybody, but you guys know what I'm talking about. Me as a college student, I had a lot to learn in life. They rely on these adults around them. Most of the time, they're agents, because sometimes parents don't know. So what do? They go to their agent. And that's what I think causes a lot of this chaos in college football right now, is these street agents, the uncle popping up out of nowhere, whatever it is. I mean, I can start an agency right now, and I've never played college football, never been an agent in my life, but and I think, it's leading to a lot of these things that we're currently talking about. I would be amazed to see if you did away with all those agents and it had to be an NFL licensed agent. I'm very curious to how much of these issues would go away. I'm curious.
I mean, a lot would.
Yeah.
A lot would. Because now you have to, it can't be, word of mouth. You have to, keep up with the current, like standards in the industry. You have to have some type of, contract negotiation experience, and then you have continuing education, so you're keeping up with the the legislation in college, right? Because you don't hear this going on about with like baseball kids coming out of high school who get drafted out of high school. Something's working there, right?
Yeah.
They are. I don't want to. They drafted me. I'm going to go to college instead. But this school, but this team still has my rights. They still got that money, right? But they're playing in high school, so we're not dealing with like anything new. I think a lot of this is more because of the sport, because of the sports that's being played, and the kids who are now, coming into money that they didn't come into before, right?
Yeah.
So now when I'm more concerned about now that the changes, everybody's on board, that we have to have these changes, and they're got Congress and the president talking about it. They're going to come in and make all the changes that they're going to make are going to affect the student, the kid, and that's not right. That's not right. There are things already in place that they can implement, that everybody can get on board with, that will right the ship a little bit as you work through all the other nuances of the other stuff.
Isn't it wild that there literally is a set of rules right now that wouldn't cure this, but it would help it? It was kind of the NCAA's way of dipping their toe in the water to see the CSC, implemented these guidelines. All the schools, most of the schools agreed to it, said they're going to do it, and now none of the schools do it. So, Duke, you're right. Literally, if we could just have an adult at every single school agree.
Tell me what CSC is again?
The College Sports Commission.
Joke.
Yeah, exactly.
What are they doing?
What I'm saying is,
I'm sorry. No, I don't mean to cut you off. Right. So they created this whole CSC committee. Please tell me, why weren't they at this this meeting? It should have been all of them. Like, what are you doing? Right? Because I'm pretty sure they're not doing it for free.
No, I know.
I'm pretty sure they're getting paid. And where's that money coming from? But we're not.
That's the thing. There's zero accountability.
Zero
in college football right
now. They want to hold the athletes accountable, though.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. For everybody involved, like, there's some athletes and agents, zero accountability. You can transfer, as many times as you would like. And again, I even hate saying that, because we're talking literally about 1% maybe of college football players where these major issues are happening. They just get highlighted, So for the most part, right, these college athletes that are making money with NIL seem to be doing things correctly, the right way, and are utilizing these new opportunities as a way to grow themselves, as a way to help the community around them. And they're surrounded by responsible adults that can teach them how to manage their money correctly and all that. So, yeah, for the most part, I think things are good. But when you focus on the 1%, let's call it, that aren't, they're
Actually
taking
less
advantage.
than
But
that.
yeah,
It's
probably.
actually
But
less than
it's also the adults,
yeah.
the NCAA, the CSC, the coaches, the athletic directors, like where the presidents of these conferences, where are they being held accountable for the areas that, that they aren't, coming together and agreeing as adults?
Yeah.
Hey, let's put the students first, guys.
Yeah.
Let's come together as adults, put the students first instead of the money, instead of winning, instead of fame. Let's put the students first and let's all agree to follow these rules. Boy, wouldn't that be a beautiful thing?
Yeah. Well, that's too much like right.
Well, what I said at the beginning, like there's when the pot is that big, we're talking about billions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
There's hands in it we don't even see.
Right.
And Duke, you mentioned the unlicensed agents. Like,
yeah.
How do you even monitor it? You don't even know they exist. Like, but I can tell you they're calling my players up. Like I know they are. And I
just had one try to like reach out to my to my nephew. He, like you said, he like talked to my but they use again he went through a high school coach to talk to my nephew and say, I can do this, I can do this and this for you. And I'm like, look, have them call me or have them call your mom.
Yeah.
Crickets.
Yes.
Like get out here, because there's nothing that like no first year unless you're like a 5-star kid who's coming in and is absolutely going to start as a freshman. That's a totally different animal. You might need a little bit more guidance, like from somebody in the know. Maybe not even.
Yeah.
But because your number's already set.
In some cases, and again with this, Duke, I know you've worked with kids that have got bad backgrounds and stuff like that. In some cases, that's who they want to talk to. They do want to talk to that parent that's had drug issues or whatever. Because once you hook the parent in, you get the kid. And
right. Yeah, and it's easy. I mean, they're predators, and I'm like hyper vigilant of that because they're feeding these the parents like single mom. They see like, okay,
yes,
we got one parent on this visit, one parent on that visit. Okay, let me. I mean, but if I'm being honest, coaches in school take advantage of that as well.
Yeah,
but those conversations are different.
I know. It's how many. Duke, I know if I told you this off air, you'd be like, oh, yeah. I mean, we just saw a big national story of a certain recruit who we know the parent was directly involved. The student wanted to go somewhere, but the parent, guess what, received money from who? The school. So the parent was really pushing, right? And it goes everywhere. Like we said, money. Listen, I'm going to call a spade here. Let's not act like these recruiting services aren't getting a little something under the table, because new 5-stars now, man, if you get that 5th star, your money goes up. Those guys at these recruiting sites are determining how much a player is worth. Now, is that right? No, we all know it's not. Do the real football people know that? Yeah. Are there real football people at every college in the United States? No, there's not. So they're going to, these lower colleges or whatever that don't have the recruiting staff to look at these guys and verify. When they see 5-star, it's automatic. You know what I mean? That, hey, you're worth this. This is your number that you are worth now. So literally every adult involved in college sports, right, is probably, now listen, not every adult. I'm saying, you guys know what I'm saying here, right? Somebody's going to clip that and be like, look at this psycho, dude, calling Ryan Day, taking money on the table. No, I'm not. I'm saying there are adults in several positions throughout this that instead of being the adult in the room, they're deciding to take advantage of the situation at the student's expense. And it's disgusting, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, there's another like aspect that you think about, the profession, just like any profession, you know, that you have on under contract, and you have incentives, right? If a coach is incentivized and, you know, has to
Good point.
bring in, you know, this many 5 stars, this many 4 stars, this many 3 stars, and what have you, what do you think that's going to do?
Mm-hmm.
Right? You're going to contribute to it. They'll contribute to it too. Like I got this, you know, On3 beat writer, you know, he wants to get access to you know, to the program, and, you know, an inside scoop. Hey, I'm trying to get this kid, like, hey, bump you know, so and so up to a 3 star, and,
Oh,
you know, I'll let you, you know, I'll let you talk to him. I'll you know, I'll let you hang around. I'll give you. So, you know, it's, you know, it's not said, but it happens. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
for sure.
And it's not talked about. So it's a whole, you know, mashup of, you know, unscrupulous stuff, you know, like going, and they pick and choose what they want to, you know, or want to regulate. And at the end of the day, you are not going to clean up all of it. You know, some of it's just a necessary, you know, part of just
Yeah,
like the whole thing. And it takes everyone involved, you know, having, you know, understanding of it, right? So you can navigate it a little better, because it's not going to change, and you don't get taken advantage of. Because you're not going to change it all, because you're just going to have people that are just, you know, set on, all right, this is going to be a windfall for, like, for my kid. I want to make sure he gets it all. You know what I mean? And you're not going to be able to tell him anything, right? And
yeah,
then you're going to have the same, you know, coach that, like, hey, whatever, so and so, we're going to give him another star. It's going to look good on my resume. I'm doing it. You know what I mean? So you're not going to
yeah,
change that. You really have to be educated and look out for, you know, look out for the people that you can look out for.
yeah, yeah. Let's not act like uh, players and adults of the players weren't getting paid before NIL became a thing anyway.
Right.
So there's certain aspects of the sport that's
Exactly.
always going to be there. I think this all goes down to probably a philosophy that can be said in every profession across the United States, and that's like greed. Like, how do you
Yeah.
manage that?
Yeah.
What do you, it's everywhere. It's all across the country. You can point out examples of what's going on in college football in every area and profession in the country for sure. There are bad apples everywhere, all over the
Yeah.
place. It just takes a smart, responsible, ethical, moral adult in the room to step up and say, hey, it's pretty common sense. That's not right. That's not healthy for this athlete. We
Right.
are not going to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, we could talk about this for days. VB coach, you got any final thing on that? And then we're just going to do quick statements about our excitement for spring ball to get rocking off, and then we'll get this thing shut down. VB coach, any final thoughts? And Duke, after VB coach, on this issue?
Yeah. What our whole talk here is I hope has shown everybody this is just a massive thing. Like there's so many different angles. I don't know where you would even start. So what I hope is if somebody gets put in charge of this, it's somebody that one has experience and knows what they're doing. I don't want somebody operating on my knee that's not a surgeon. So I don't want somebody telling college football what to do that has never been involved in college football or, you know, or college sports, you know, whatever.
Mhm.
You need to understand business. You need to understand athletics. Those two things are not always the same thing. You know,
Mhm.
I've seen business people come into athletics and their concepts don't always work. So,
Nope.
and that's what you know, who's going to be in charge? Who's going to wave the big stick? Because until we have somebody that is able to give out consequences, nothing else is going to matter. You know, they can put on a big show, they can hold meetings, they can say all kinds of stuff, but the biggest problem we have right now is the NCAA. Not that they were great before, but they're powerless now. So,
Right.
in charge? Who's going to give out the consequences when somebody's contacting your quarterback and stuff like that? Right
Mhm.
now, nobody.
Right.
Yep.
That's
Agree.
a great point. And I know a group of guys who should be doing that, and that's all the athletic directors and presidents of these schools.
Mm-hmm.
You know, delegate one, either the athletic director or the president, a mashup of them, and work out a solution. I know there's good things happening in different leagues, and you can get all that together, and then all right, can we agree all on this? And it's done.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
But when you're relying on Nick Saban, who got out of it because he didn't want to deal with it, and is just and Urban Meyer, who they may be talking about the sport, but they're not sitting down and like really studying it. I mean, they sound like us.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And they're not factoring in all the other legalities that will come into place that you want to consider when coming up with these rules that everyone's gonna follow. So I don't think I know they probably like mean well. I don't know about Urban Meyer. I don't really know about that guy. I really don't. Because he's all over the place. But I think Nick said, I think he got lumped into saying like kids. Yeah, he doesn't want kids to like get paid. But I don't think he necessarily said that. He's more on the lines like what we're saying. It needs to be cleaned up.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And done the right way. Like Urban went off on a whole nother collective deal. I don't know what his issue with that is, and that's really not the issue. But the big thing is everybody under the same umbrella, and shoot, markets are markets. Right. And you deal with, like what you can. Shoot, Tampa Bay won the Super Bowl, didn't they? I mean, not the Super Bowl, the baseball, small market. What's the Florida, small market Florida team that keeps winning? I don't know if it was the Miami one or the Tampa one, but, they won. They won a hockey in Florida too. Mm-hmm. So, it can be done. It's not necessarily, but if you have more money to contribute, then shoot, you just have more money. It's just the nature of the business. It's a dog eat dog world. Don't take it away. And if somebody wants to contribute to a school, like if I'm giving money to the school, I forgot. I wanted to mention this. If I'm a donor and I've been giving money to the school for whatever, if I'm giving you money and I want it to be directed somewhere, it's going to go where I want it to go, or I'm not going to give it to you. Right.
Yeah.
So we can't tell these people like, oh, I don't want to, you can't give it all to football or all of whatever, however you were distributing it before, keep doing it.
Yeah. Right? I do like that point. You kind of curved my thought on that point a little bit. If you think of it like a market, this is the market for college football. You know what I mean? That you don't see people trying to step in and stop markets on different other business areas, across the country. But yeah, I agree with you. The NIL payers making money is not the main issue here. It is starting with the adults who are supposed to be responsible in the room not being responsible. And VB coach, exactly right. Where there is no accountability, what else do you expect?
Right.
I mean, what do we expect? There's zero accountability. What are you going to do here? But fellas, Ohio State spring football starts tomorrow. Quick, visits start up. You get to see some of these players, man. Quick thoughts, excitement, whatever you want to say about spring football about to pop off. Just a quick little statement. We'll get this wrapped up and out of here. Duke, you go first on this one. Spring football.
Oh yeah, I'm excited to see these young boys, get after it, man, and claim their spots and see what we're working with, and get on the path to shoring up our depth and going to the season and balling out. Riley's out this spring. He had his shoulder cleaned up. Oh. Nothing major, just regular linebacker wear and tear stuff. But I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see, actually, who I'm excited to see is Epi. I'm excited to see what Epi does, man. I know that dude is biting at the bit to get out there. I know he got a chip on the shoulder. I feel like he's about to be a breakout this spring. Him and Zion. So yeah, I'm excited to see that the 2025 kids, a season with a season under their belt, to see how they approach this spring, and bring new leadership to to the team.
Yeah.
I,
BB
I love
coach.
that. Yeah, I love that word leadership that he used. They're all talented. If they weren't, they wouldn't be there. Who's going to be the leaders? When you're down 4 points in the fourth quarter on national TV, who's going to step up and lead? So yeah, that in coaching, that is one of the biggest things. Like, are you born with it? Can I put it in you? I don't know. Like, I always go back and forth on that one. So yeah, who is going to become the leaders of this team?
Mm-hmm.
The thing I always love to see is the change, physically and emotionally, in the players. Duke's son, I'm sure he looks different now than he did this past fall, and that nutrition and weight program is amazing to see what the changes in those players. And I'm sure we're going to see this change in our quarterback. And, those running backs were freshmen. They're going to change. They're going to look different. So that's all. We always talk about the linemen. I'm like, it ain't a big deal to go from 305 to 315, but
right.
It's a big deal to go from 215 to 235. That's a big deal. So
yeah.
I want to see those changes, and that tells you something right there. Like, I know something right now. That kid, one, he has some genetics on his side, but two, he's put the work in. He wants to be on the field.
Mm-hmm.
And if the linebacker went from 215 to 220, that tells me something also.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are things to look at, and spring ball starting up everywhere, and it's there's so much now with NIL and the portal. Every year, I think, is going to be a lot more exciting in spring ball.
Yeah.
Hey, I lied. I got a quick question for you guys. You guys know this better than I would. Okay, so we got some players that we're very excited to see that are going to be out for the spring. Isaiah, Bo Jackson. You just mentioned Riley, but they're, to my knowledge, they're all like small, normal shoulder injury type things. So at what level are they out? I mean, aren't they still in the weight room, like doing what they can do, or are they like sidelined? Like, what's the deal there?
Like, if I can't, one of Riley's high school coach sent me a picture I hadn't even seen, and they were like, "What are you feeding this dude, bricks?" And like, he showed me. I'm like, "Oh my!" Like, this dude was, rocked up. Got 12 pack. He looks all of a cut up 235. I'm like, dang. But then you look at, it was all the linebackers. I'm like, okay, yeah, these dudes mix in there, getting them right.
Yeah.
And he's doing this, regular rehab. He's back. He's like running, doing mat drills. He's in it. But he was just won't have any like contact. I think, and they're all doing that.
Yeah, that's what I thought, man. I think
it was nothing major at all. Mm-mm.
Yeah. Some people, when they hear about that, with Bo Jackson, Isaiah West, that's when it first started. I think there's literally people out there that think that, they stay in their apartment while the team goes and works out, or they're sitting on the couch watching TV. And I'm like, no, man, these dudes are still like in there getting it. You know what I'm saying? VB coach, anything to add to that?
Yeah. And I don't know if they still have this, but over there they have a sand pit that they had for a long time. And if you're injured, you're, like you said, you're reporting just like everybody else is. You're sitting in meetings like everybody else is. They go out to the field. You go to the sand pit to rehab and do work. And you've not lived until you've pushed a 45-pound plate across a sand pit. So stuff like that. So that, those guys are, I'll be honest with you, they're probably working harder, because some of these spring practices, they're just thudding. They're not taking anybody down, and they're working on technique and everything. And then you look over there and you see those guys in the sand pit throwing up and stuff. And, they're working to get back. So, and there's a reason they do that. You're like, if you can get back, you get out of the sand pit, you get out of there and you get your pads on, you get into practice.
That makes sense. I like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, when I was in college, we called it county fair, and they said that we have certain rides for you guys today, and And so you went through the whole gamut of the different rides that day. And I learned quickly to get out of county fair and get back into practice, because you do 200 sit-ups and push-ups and squat thrusts and all that other stuff. You practice.
Ride that bike and
yes.
Yeah,
all that stuff.
It's a beast. But they're you know, I'm for him especially it, you know, where he where he is, for him to get these like the mental reps and get more into teaching of things is going to do him, you know, like wonders, because now that I'm teaching it, now when I'm executing it, I'm back on the field, I'm just playing now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Not thinking
so he'll be in a good spot, you know, for that, and opportunity to, you know, bring along, you know, the young guys, right? Being another coach there, and you know, working on his leadership skills, you know, like with the young guys. So I mean, there's plenty of opportunity for him to like improve, you know, in the areas that he's going to need and lean on going into next year.
Yeah. Well, Steely, thanks for the $1.99, brother. He said, welcome, Duke Pettyjohn and VB Coach. Appreciate you, Steely, for that. Very excited for spring ball, man. First time ever in Ohio State history, 51 new faces for spring football. That's a lot. That's a lot for these coaches, but luckily we got a Super Bowl winning defensive coordinator. We got a very veteran NFL offensive coordinator. We got Ryan Day. We got a coaching staff that can handle this. And we got
100%.
a group of players that have been around that also can set this culture, man. We got a loaded group of freshmen we're excited to see, loaded group of transfer portals. We got some sophomores that we are excited to see step up. We got a lot of players go to the draft. A lot of players leave. There are some open doors and going to be some serious battles this spring. VB Coach Duke, appreciate you guys for joining me.
Anytime,
we'll
man.
obviously get you back on the show. Chat, hit that like button on your way out. Hit the subscribe button. Appreciate you guys for watching. Love you guys. Go Buckeyes. OH.
Good meeting you, Coach.
Yep. Good to meet you too.